This is the Bladder Bros moment. Everyone is peeing and having a good time. Welcome to your secret one-on-one session with Walker. Hey guys, games are fun. You should play some. Let us know what you like, what you think. Fill us in with some of your favorites. Sit in the silence with me. It's meditative. It's lovely. You're a grain of sand on the beach. Waves are rushing by. This has been a moment with Walker.
Hello, thank you for tuning in to the Joystick Frequency. It's a video game podcast that doubles as a book club, where you remember just by listening in. I'm your host, Trent. Joining me are my two co-hosts, Walker
Hello.
and Brady.
What up?
So last time we had sort of a grab bag. We talked about Power Wash Simulator, Sniper Elite 5, Stray, and I believe that was it. This time we're going to be talking about another small grab bag of sorts with some games we played that came out last year, as well as mostly Cult of the Lamb. Before we get started, as usual, let's go into what we've been playing this month. Walker, start with you.
Open it on me. Okay. So I've been farming. I've been playing a lot of farming games, y'all. I'm sure everyone knows Disney Dreamlight Valley came out recently. We've been playing a bunch of that. On top of that, we have things like Stardew Valley. We've booted back up again. I'm running a co-op game with my lovely partner, Emma. And just recently, literally back last Friday, I picked up Elden Ring again. I'm starting to go back through and try to complete that. Not complete, just beat. Dear God, I'm not completing that game.
Yeah, you said you'd started Elden Ring up again earlier today, and I got all giddy again thinking about the fights and everything you've been doing, because I've officially made it my favorite game. Simply for the fact because it has multiplayer and Sekiro doesn't, and I realized that there are so many moments I've gone through Elden Ring that just I would not have laughed as hard unless I had someone else there with me. So
Yeah, I've been just started battling Rykard last night, the giant viper god or snake god killer thing, whatever his title is. Getting my ass whooped currently. Second phase one-shots me instantly. That's fun.
oh man, have you been using the weapon that you picked up in the arena?
Oh yeah. That's the
Oh,
only
okay,
way I've
good.
been able to get anywhere with that. Because the thing I mentioned earlier in our little personal chat about hitting level 60 intelligence, which let me unlock some pretty powerful spells. Ooh, it does not work so well on Snake Boy, because Snake Boy is just far enough away where he's out of range of my spell. So, yeah, and I can't close the distance without pissing him off. So, I'm having to actually fight him, and it's been a nightmare. But a fun nightmare.
All right, well, Brady, how about you? What have you been playing this month?
Well, this past month has been a busy one for me. New job, new apartment, so I haven't been able to play as much as I normally do. Other than Cult of the Lamb, I've been playing a little bit of Mass Effect Andromeda, the fourth entrance in the Mass Effect series, self-contained story, not part of the original trilogy, in a new galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy, hence the name. Mass Effect Andromeda really revamped the combat style in Mass Effect, in my opinion, for the better. It's a much more dynamic kind of combat with more 3D usage of the terrain, which is always more fun. The story did take a little bit of a dive as opposed to the original trilogy, not even in the same ballpark. Still a pretty good game, but doesn't exactly live up to the hype of its predecessors.
Yeah, I heard it got a lot of flack whenever it first came out. I still need to go through and play the original Mass Effect because, I mean, that should be on every gamer's list to at least play one of them.
So, two things. Number one, Mass Effect Andromeda had a lot of problems when it first came out, namely a lot of bugs and glitches. Specifically, there was a graphical one that made all the NPCs like hair glow when it wasn't supposed to, which was really weird and threw a lot of people off, as well as just normal bugs. It was almost a Bethesda game level of buggy when it first came out, which soured a lot of people. As opposed, and also add on to the fact that you're not Shepard, the protagonist you played for nearly a decade with the original three. Really soured a lot of people on it, and me too. for a little bit, but I've had fun coming back to it. Also, the Mass Effect trilogy is, in my opinion, the best trilogy of video games that exist currently. Absolutely play them if you haven't already.
I definitely need to check them out. I've been meaning to play the Mass Effect games when the remaster that they did for I think it was the first 3 came out. I downloaded it on Game Pass, but it went off just after I finished whatever game I was playing at the time, and as I was going to boot it up, it's like, you don't own this game anymore. So unfortunately, that's been backburnered with so many other games I currently have downloaded. It's so sad. The initialization, the inception of this podcast, actually came from the game Bug Fables that Trent and I were going to play together. That one finally went off Game Pass the other day, and I did not finish it, so it's now haunting me.
Oh, man. I fell off of Bug Fables because it reset my entire Chapter 2 progress, and I was just like, I was supposed to, first off, I was supposed to play it for the podcast, and second off, it just, reset my entire progress, and it was very annoying, and I didn't want to have to do it again. And at the same time, I was, playing other games as well. Just Game Pass in general, it's such a first world problem because you have to go, you don't know what to play because there's so many things that you can just download and play instantly.
And then you just end up downloading Banjo-Kazooie and playing that again. That's what I do.
Oh, I haven't been there yet. That's another game I need to go play eventually.
Oh, have you not played Banjo-Kazooie yet?
I've never played Banjo-Kazooie.
Brady, what about you?
I have not played Banjo-Kazooie.
We need to have y'all play Banjo-Kazooie. I am a sucker for 3D platformer collectathon games, and that is the one of the best.
I'll play Banjo-Kazooie if you play Mass Effect.
Okay, that's probably not a fair trade. One's like a 10-hour game, the other one's... How long is Mass Effect?
The first one is probably 30 to 60 hours, depending on how much of a completionist you are.
Okay, so you have to play Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and 100% Donkey Kong 64. Then we'll be even.
I will play 3 Banjo-Kazooie games. I will not promise that I'll 100% anything.
This is kind of unfair for me because I would have to play both those. I would have to play the Mass Effect series, then I would also have to play the Banjo series. So I would have to make y'all play something. So I would probably choose Dark Souls 1 through 3.
No.
Hard no.
No. Elden Ring was my one Souls game. I'm done.
I dipped my toe into Elden Ring, realized I hated Souls-like games, and will never play another one.
I actually have been eyeing Bloodborne recently. The stylization that game has is very appealing. So
you say that, Brady, until we make you play Hollow Knight for this podcast.
Nope.
You don't understand. Walker, tell him Hollow Knight's different.
It's more Metroidvania-y, I would say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Metroidvania Souls like.
Oh, well, in that case, I still won't play it.
Lovely. That's fair. I got, I think, through the first or second major boss in Hollow Knight and stopped, and I have not gone back. It's super fun. Love the aesthetic, love the style of the game. It is just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way with Elden Ring. It is a masterfully created game with an incredible aesthetic that I absolutely do not enjoy playing.
Trent, please tell us what your plan was this month. What'd you play?
So, unfortunately, and we'll get into this a little later with Cult of Lamb, but my GPU just completely shit itself this month, and I had to end up getting a new one, luckily from a friend of ours for... Oh shit, I still gotta pay him. Oops. Don't worry, Damon, I'll get it to you. But, so my GPU shit itself, so I couldn't play it on PC, and the whole plan was that I had $25 from my birthday on Steam, so that's what I was going to use to get it. So yeah, so I didn't play Cult of the Lamb, and I was pretty much restricted to Xbox-only games, like League of Legends would crash on my game. Hell, even Pokemon ROMs would crash my computer if I tried to run them on my PC, so I ended up playing Xbox, and luckily I was just grinding a game one day, and I went and discovered that, hey, True Achievements is doing an A to Z challenge where you can get a little community badge if you complete it. And so I took on the A to Z achievement challenge where you have to get an achievement starting with every letter of the alphabet in order. Achievements that you get in between letters don't count towards it. So, for instance, you would have to plan accordingly and get like A, B, C, D, but if you got an achievement for like M, it doesn't count even if you get to M later on. You would have to find another achievement for that. So I ended up playing a bunch of games. I ended up playing Broken Age. It's a story-based point-and-click where you combine like items and get weird interactions. One of those, I think it's called Knight's Quest or something, one of the old school ones, where it's basically you pretty much click on the screen, your character walks around, interacts with stuff, and you have a menu of items, and you use certain items to do stuff.
Oh yeah, classic point and click style game, Monkey Island, that kind of thing.
Okay, I thought Monkey Island was one, but I didn't want to go out there on a limb and say it was and be wrong. So the story in Broken Age is really what caught my attention. At first, you're going through as one character, and then you go through Act 1 as the second character, and then at the end of that act, you realize, oh shit, their stories are actually linked, and then you go and play those characters in Act 2, only they're on different sides of the story now. And so it was a unique story, and it really got interesting after you get past Act 1, especially because there were like Act 1 leaves you with a lot of questions for both sides until it shows you that scene after you complete both of them. Then we went into Recore, and if y'all remember, this is one of those Xbox One originals. It came out whenever the Xbox One came out. It's a delight.
I was eyeing Recore for a little while when it first came out.
Oh yeah, I've been meaning to play this one since I got my Xbox One and just never got around to it, but it's a delight. So it's an open world post-apocalyptic shooter. It gives me Prince of Persia vibes with how you travel and travel the world and everything. You have 3 robots that you can swap them between models to like you can either fly with the bird one, the gorilla one breaks giant objects for you. You get a dog one that can dig up treasure for you, and like another one that's a spider that you can use to climb walls and shit, like in Prince of Persia. It's really cool. I really love it. I need to go back and finish it. Then we also had Arcvale, which is a twin stick shooter. It's very similar to Enter the Gungeon, except it's more fantasy-like. You get more melee weapons and more, instead of guns, you're using magic and such. I 100% of that one. That one was a lot of fun. Really quick to do and kind of interesting story for how it happened. And you're like, you only learn it, like, you only get a little bit of info every world in that one. And then to finally piece it together at the end, it was really good. And a lot of the boss fights were like really fun bullet hells and pretty balanced. Then we had Human Fall Flat, the 3 DLC levels. By the way, I just found out today whenever I went to go look at the levels that I did for this. They released a new one, so I'm going to have to go back and play Human Fall Flat again already. I think it released like 2 days ago. But yeah, Labradory, Lumber, and Red Rock. So I went through and played those levels. Human Fall Flat's a physics-based puzzle platformer where you have like very limited control of your body, and it takes like, it's one of those things that you can be really good at, but it takes like hours to master and figure out. And body control is like everything in this game. You have to do stuff from like numerous tasks, like getting 2 hooks on a zip line so that you can slide down it safely, getting up into the cockpit of a forklift or something, and then using your hands to maneuver the forklift and everything. It's a real fun game, and it's up to 8 people. I suggest playing it with a friend. Origami 2 came out last year. I was playing this with one of our friends, Moses. It's a third-person Dishonored ninja-like game, and it's basically Dishonored on crack, where there are no consequences if you kill everyone. There are no consequences if you decide to knock everyone out instead. And I'm not going to go into too much detail except for one little thing where momentum, the ability you get for that, is crazy, because momentum makes it to where whenever you kill someone, someone else near you dies by a shadow version of you that comes out and kills that person as well. Fucking makes the game so good because you can pull off double assassinations over and over again. It's fantastic. And then lastly, we had Coffee Talk, which it's not very heavy at all. Choose 3 ingredients and make warm drinks for people, but it's a lo-fi story simulator where literally you're just making coffee drinks for everyone and listening and learning the story of this little coffee shop in Seattle. And it's really nice. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to like play right before bed whenever you're like getting sleepy, because you just listen to the lo-fi music and just read the story of what's going on, and it was just really relaxing and enjoyable.
Coffee Talk's been on my playlist for a while now. You said you really enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's pretty quick clear. I suggest playing it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a go.
What about you, Brady? Any of those sound interesting to you?
Yeah, Broken Age sounds really interesting. Human Fall Flat sounds like a fun little thing to distract me from the horrors of daily life.
Human Fall Flat is one of those that if we can get a group of 8 people to play Human Fall Flat, it'll be absolute chaos, but it'll be so much fun.
Yeah, oh, fun chaos. Love a fun chaos game.
All right, well, I guess with our months out of the way, y'all want to head straight into the meat of the podcast?
Let's do it.
Which meat are we starting with? Dead follower meat?
I'm sorry?
That's a Cult of the Lamb joke, which you would understand.
Okay, well then I guess let's go into Cult of the Lamb so that maybe I can understand a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna probably bully Trent a little bit here in this segment.
Mm-hmm. That's our job, is to bully Trent.
How dare you kill your own graphics card?
It's not my fault. I bought this computer like 5 years ago.
Well, sounds like you need to replace it and get a new computer. I can't believe you would have a computer that's 5 years old. That's unforgivable.
I'm sorry? You can't even run Smite on your laptop, sir.
Hey, that's true. And I'm also missing one of my A keys and my A key. So, yeah, also, for the listeners, I want to make it clear. I'm razzing Trent about his 5-year-old computer. My laptop, which, as Trent pointed out, is shit, is close to a decade old at this point. I got it in like 2014.
All right, I'll go ahead and read the synopsis off of Wikipedia here real fast for Cult of the Lamb to kind of give everyone an idea of what we're talking about here. Cult of the Lamb is a roguelike action-adventure game developed by indie developer Massive Monster and published by Devolver Digital. The game follows a possessed lamb who is saved from death by a godlike stranger named the One Who Waits, and must repay their debt by creating a loyal following in its name. Brady, what did you think of the Cult of the Lamb?
I want to start by saying this. The vibes for this game are immaculate. The atmosphere and aesthetic from the second you launch the game, with some like glitches in the title card, to the very stylized 2D, 3D world that you run around in. It's a 3D world, but everything is like 2-dimensional, if that makes sense. Like paper cutouts of characters.
It's like 2-dimensional with 3D assets?
Yeah, pretty much.
The other way, actually. It's more 3-dimensional with 2D assets. So
Yeah. Sorry.
Imagine kind of how Paper Mario, the world in Paper Mario works, in a way.
Exactly. The powers that you get are very thematic and let you really experience the world of building a cult with just incomprehensible horror at your fingertips. Very, very entertaining.
The vibes truly are immaculate in this game. The way the art style itself, like on the surface, lends to some very like cute moments. Your main character, the lamb, is a very adorable character. You see it in a couple different instances, like when you go around and talk to your different cult members, you can just go and like dance with them, and that's how you raise their loyalty to the cult. And the little dance animation is so sweet. But that is contrasted with some freaking horrifying stuff, especially when it comes to the heads of the other cults in the nearby area that you lead these crusades against.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the main gameplay loop of Cult of the Lamb. So as we talked about, the main thing you're doing is building your cult. The way you do that is you go on crusades, which are roguelike, procedurally generated dungeons. You go out into the woods and you kill people, which are followers of other gods. You have the opportunity to choose different paths you take to get different resources or followers or more enemies or penalties in exchange for more rewards later on. There's a lot of different ways to go through the crusades.
Yeah, they're pretty fun. Once you unlock the individual sections of the map, it's broken up into 4 different main crusade areas that you could run into. Each one is headed up by one of the 4 deity characters, these giant cult leaders, who have built cults around themselves to gain exemplary power. Yeah, you delve into these areas, you fight off their followers to try to spread your good word, and in going through killing, gaining your own power, You also indoctrinate some members into your cult, which actually comprises kind of the second half of the game, which we'll get to in a minute, which is more of a literal cult building simulator, which is quite fun.
On these crusades, you get, as you go through them and you get more skill points and are able to level up your character a little bit, you get access to different kinds of weapons and magical abilities that kind of add a little bit of replayability to this, what at its core is a very repetitive gameplay loop. But the flavor that you get spices it up and lets each crusade kind of feel unique. So some of my favorite things that you can get
Yeah, I was actually going
as
to
you
ask.
progress, poison weapons are my number one. Just the
Really? You
best.
found
They're the
yourself
best.
using
Love
poison a lot?
poison weapons. Yes, because you can go in, hit somebody, and then dodge away and not have to worry about being anywhere near people as they take damage.
Ah, see, I always found myself using stuff like the vampiric quite frequently, which lets you absorb health from enemies that you kill.
Right.
I just need that little extra buffer for health.
I did find that very useful in the when you were not fighting a boss. When you're fighting lots of minions,
That is
Vampiric is
fair.
probably the best one. When you're fighting a boss, that can do just so much of your health so quickly. It's very useful to be able to jump in, tag them, and run away, get to safety, quote unquote, and let the poison tick away their damage before you dive back in, get one hit in, run away.
So were you using more like daggers or swords? What was your go-to? I've always found myself using the heavier weapons.
So it kind of depends because at the beginning of each crusade you get a choice between a couple of weapons. It's not always the same weapons. So it kind of depends on what you get at the beginning.
I think at the start, it is one weapon and one magic power that you get, and
Exactly.
as you advance through, you get options as you find different shops and things like that along the way.
Aesthetically, my favorite weapon were the claws that you get. Mechanically, I think my favorite was the axe, just because does really good damage.
I'm with you. The
Yeah.
gauntlets were super cool to look at, and some of the attack animations on them were super fun.
Oh,
I felt like they were just a touch too slow and a touch not powerful enough to be useful.
their strength is the combo that you use because it's two or three quick swipes and then a very strong swipe. If you can get to the end of that combo, you're doing really good damage. The problem is in this game you want to be dodging and moving enough that you're not really going to be attacking someone long enough to get all those combos off, especially against the bosses that like to jump and fly around and toss
Oh
magic
yeah.
at you. So something like the axe where you can do pretty solid damage in one hit and then run away and wait for your next opportunity, I think is the most optimum gameplay style, in my opinion.
That's completely fair. I did find myself anytime that I was presented with a hammer, I would always take the hammer.
Oh, yeah.
The hammer is super, super useful because it is the slowest weapon, but it does the most damage. But the cool thing about it is when you normally hit with a weapon, you're locked into that hit. With the hammer, you go to hit, you're locked into place, but you can change where the hammer strikes in a complete radius around you. So if you go to hit someone and they move to the other side of you, you can redirect that and still smack them perfectly. So I never felt like I was really missing out with opportunities to hit with the hammer.
Yeah.
Throwing out delayed hitboxes like in Elden Ring.
Yes, very, very similar.
One other thing about the Crusades that I think we should touch on is the tarot cards,
Ooh, yeah.
which are basically just random bonuses that you get as you go through these dungeons, for lack of a better word. You walk up at this weird triangle dude that offers you a choice of two cards. You choose one and you get that buff for the rest of the crusade.
With the option of going up and using some of the coins that you have, purchasing another buff from him. No, but with that one that's completely random, there's no guarantee of what it will be.
There are some really interesting ones in there that if
Yeah.
you get the right combination can make a crusade a breeze. There is, and again, going back to the poison, there is a tarot card that just gives all of your attacks poison damage.
Ooh.
If you get a vampiric weapon and that tarot card, you're fine. You're gonna beat that crusade. I only had that happen to me once in the time I was playing, but there are some really strong combos that you can get. And let's not forget, you can also just get a lot of fish.
You can get a lot of fish. That is one of the cards. Let's check that little box real fast. There is a fishing mini game in this game, so it suddenly makes it one tier better than it could have been before.
Yes. All the good games have fishing mini games.
Yeah, it's true. It's a confirmed fact. Do you have anything more you want to say about the Crusades for the time being? We can get back into some of like the bosses and stuff in a minute, but I'm itching to talk about the.
I think I cut Trent off.
Oh shoot! Okay, go ahead.
Earlier.
I was actually going to see and move away from the Crusades as well and start moving to the more settlement part of the gameplay and what you do there. So why don't you all go ahead and lead into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, when you're in the Crusades, there are certain portions of the game where either one of the paths that you take or one of the rooms that you're into or whenever you beat one of the bosses who isn't the head cult member itself, you get a chance to. Oh no, that's not true. You can adopt the boss members as well. Anytime that you beat a major boss or pick up a certain path in the Crusades itself, you get a chance to adopt another member into your cult, which is quite fun. So once you wrap up the Crusades, you gotta go back home. You gotta rest for a little bit, and you gotta make sure that the source of your power, the cult that you've got, is properly praising you, and to make sure they're all well kept and clean, which leads into the settlement. You get a pretty sizable chunk of tiled land that you get to build special structures that all have their individual purposes on, and create your own little cult.
Right. So the big three things that you focus on in this settlement, as far as your followers are concerned, are food, worship, and
Cleanliness.
I don't remember the name. Cleanliness. That's the name for it.
Yeah, you gotta make sure there's no sickness or anything involved because these guys
Hygiene.
like to poop themselves.
Yeah. Let's talk about Poop Simulator.
Oh, God,
2022. Oh my gosh, the first several hours of this game, you're going to be worried mostly about your followers shitting themselves and then also not having food, which kind of paradoxical, but those are the two biggest concerns that you have for the first chunk of the game.
Pro tip for anyone going into the game: build a farm as fast as you can because you will need the bonus food you can get from that.
Right. Another pro tip. I don't know if this was just me. At the beginning of the game, when I made food, my followers would automatically walk over to the kitchen and eat the food themselves. As I got farther into the game, they stopped doing that, and I had to go manually tell them to eat.
Really?
And I was very confused why no one was eating, and everyone was just starving, even though there were piles of food by the kitchen. So eventually, I had to go and talk to people. I don't know if that was a glitch on my end.
I feel like that's a bug because I did not encounter that issue at any point.
That could definitely have been a bug. Because most of the time that I spent playing this game was right near release.
Yeah.
So the buggiest time for any game. Well, that's very good to know that it was just me because that made the game a lot less fun. So if that's just a glitch, then great.
Yeah, throughout the game, your followers should, anytime that they're hungry, you can go ahead and cook meals, which is a pretty basic cooking mechanic, nothing too crazy. You can put together different ingredients to create meals, which will keep your followers fed and happy, or in some cases, sick and happy. Every now and then, followers will present you with a quest, which will help you raise their faith in your cult itself, and we'll get to the actual faith and the perks you get from that in a minute. A lot of the time, these quests can range from anything to like, hey, we need you to take a couple of some like old and dying cult members into your cult. Just bring them in for a little bit. Or I know a guy who's starving. Can you bring him in and feed him? Every now and then, you'll get a member who either desperately wants to, or as a prank wants to make someone else consume a bowl of poop.
Yes.
Which, as its stat boost, gives a 100% chance of making them sick, which should not surprise anyone. There are some very interesting quests in this game. It's got a very fun and unique style of humor.
One of the other biggest things that you get as a settlement is your house of worship, your temple. This is where you go to preach to all of your cult members. It's also where you go to do specific cult rituals that give various bonuses or detriments to your cult, and it's also where you go to assign skills and upgrade your base cult abilities. The best ritual that you can do is sacrificing a follower. You have the ability to murder and sacrifice any of your followers that you want, which should not surprise you for a cult game, but is just one of the most fun mechanics to me because number one, just the aesthetic of killing people in the name of a dark god is very culty. It just fits the vibe of the game. Number two, it's also a great way to keep your morale up, because if a follower becomes unhappy with your cult, they will spread that unhappiness
Oh yeah.
to your other cult members, causing a problem real quick. However, if you catch someone being unhappy, you can just kill them, and then everyone else is happier.
Yeah, just take care of them real fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one needs to know. Only happiness in the cult.
That's something that I found a lot with watching people that have been playing this game and everything. There's a cutesy art style to it, yes, but some of the stuff you do is so fucked up, and if you actually stop to think about it, is just terrible. Like you killed that guy for just having some negative thoughts. You killed him because he was depressed.
Oh yeah, yeah. Look, man, you can't go around my cult spouting your bullshit and not expect to either get put into the gallows for a week and a half with me and re-indoctrinating you into the wonders and joys of our lovely cult, or just straight up murdered and fed to our Lord and Savior.
I've killed people for the crime of having a stomach when I didn't have enough food to feed the cult. You just kill somebody and then that's one less person to feed. It's an incredibly inconvenient ritual, and it's also just the most fun. To be as good as it is, it needed to be in the 2D art style and not like a photorealistic game like
Oh yeah,
Fallout or
for
Red Dead
real.
Redemption. You could never make this game as a AAA game.
Oh yeah, because this entire game, it's spouting what religions would consider blasphemy, but is practices that have been done before and have been done in the name of gods before and stuff like that. And because they put this little filter over it, a cutesy filter over it, it really goes to speak we're willing to disregard most things if it looks good.
Yeah, real dark stuff.
But super happy fun time stuff as well. There are a bunch of different fun things that Brady, you kind of started speaking of in the cult itself. So obviously you have the different rituals you can perform, which provide all sorts of different boons and stuff to your cult. Anywhere from sacrificing to gain power and acclaim within your cult, to even just hosting a feast to make feed everyone completely and get all their hunger up, which was very, very useful, and I relied on probably too much. Additionally, there are your different crown upgrades that you can do, which will start unlocking different abilities throughout that you can use on your crusades, such as different magic items, more health upgrades, and different weapons and weapon types. This is how you unlock stuff like the vampiric weapons and poison weapons that we were talking about earlier.
Yes. The crown, which is also the main wardrobe feature that your character wears, is, and as far as the lore of this game goes, the source of your power. It is something that the dark god gave you when it saved your life. To get sidetracked, in the lore of this game, you are the only sheep that exists. All the other sheep have been genocided because apparently they're too good at being sacrifices. Just a little side note about the
sheep becomes the shepherd.
Exactly, yeah. And you have to lead your flock. Pretty sure that's something that was exactly said in the game at one point.
Also, to sidetrack, because I just keep getting random tangents in my head.
Oh, good. Go for it, man.
You can marry your cultists in this game. You
Don't
can marry
me.
as many of your cultists as you want in this game.
No, don't marry as many.
There is a scenario, I did not do this, and I'm fairly certain from his reaction Walker didn't do this, where you could turn this into a harem game.
Oh yeah,
you just
absolutely.
marry everybody.
You know, that makes my next point very funny because there's Twitch integration in this game.
There is. I didn't actually get to see much of it, but I have seen some clips and stuff online of people. I believe you get the option to be able to create the different characters, right? The cultists that you indoctrinate.
Yeah, so some of the cultists you can make will be like people in your chat and stuff like that, as well as like the people in your chat can vote on a different modifier or something to the crusade whenever you go on it to make it either harder or easier for you.
That would be a real interesting playthrough, I think. A Twitch playthrough. I don't have a Twitch, so I couldn't do it, but that would be an interesting, really fun replayability thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool aspects to this game. There's a ton of customization options, which is super cool. For your character, not so much. There's a couple different like robes that you can get for your character. I've experimented with them a little bit, but they are pretty pricey and hard to come by. And they also, in addition to changing how you look, add different modifiers to the game, which could most of the time just make the game significantly harder for you. But on top of that, you can unlock different variants for your followers themselves. So once you indoctrinate a follower into your cult, you have a little section kind of in the middle of this open land that I was talking about, where you go and properly bring them into the cult, and you can give them a new name, you can give them a new identity. If they're a pig, you can change them into any animal you want to, you can change their color. It's pretty cool. It makes a lot of fun, especially when I turned my entire cult at one point into little shark people.
Yeah, the customization for your cult members is incredible.
And that's, yeah, not even to mention all the like little stuff you can do on the land itself. You can, yeah, there's options for different paths. At one point, because your cult members do age and die pretty quickly. I remember for the first generation of my cult, I was very extremely attached to every single character. But once they started dying, the heartbreak was real. I became cold and calloused and started sacrificing everyone. I did not care anymore. It was brutal. When I had to bury my very first follower, it was a heartbreaking moment. He died when I was out on a crusade, and I had to come back, wrap his body up, and bury him.
The life expectancy went from 45 to fucking 10.
Yeah, it's not a great life.
I don't know if this was intentional or not. Whether it was or not, it definitely, the fact that you don't die, but your cultists like age and live and die through a normal life cycle, definitely let me tap into my darker side. And it's like, well, these guys are going to die anyway. Might as well exploit them.
Oh, yeah.
And kill them myself. I went from the first hour playing this game, I was like, oh, I know this is supposed to be a dark game. I'm just going to try to build the best cult and have my people be happy all the time and live good lives. And then my first follower died of old age. I was like, you know what? Time to dust off the sacrificial knife.
It is good to
really
know
going
that
to
was
town.
a similar theme.
Yeah, I was listening to you talk. I was like, wow, that's exactly what I did.
I'll have to play it on Twitch, and y'all can come and be part of my cult.
Absolutely.
Oh, you poor man. But yes.
One thing that I will point out really quickly, Brady, you did not finish the game, right?
I did not finish it.
Okay. Is everyone cool if I talk some real quick, like, end-game stuff real fast, just pertaining to, like, the bosses and stuff?
Go for it.
This is a spoiler warning for Cult of the Lamb, starting at this time, right now. Okay, yeah, so, some of the bosses, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I do want to talk about something cool that happened. So there are 4 main, like, antagonistic bosses that you are able to fight once you complete 4 runs of each individual, section of your crusades. So there's one for like a forest, one for so on and so forth. Halfway through, once I think you've done either 2 or 3 runs, you are confronted by them, by the big bad themselves, and they're like, "Hey, yo, I'm gonna curse you in one way or another." The first curse is like the first couple of curses aren't so bad because you get. I think the first one is he makes everyone in your cult basically have starvation. So you have to, after the end of the crusade, go back and feed everyone so they don't die. Additionally, The next one gives you like a plague, so like a good chunk of your members become sick. After that, you have to deal with. They make some of your cultists like actively rebel against you and lose faith in you, and start chanting all that bullshit. Which Brady just killed someone for. I walked up in a very humane gallows area. The last one is actually exceptionally brutal and was heartbreaking. When you get to the point where you have to, or you confront the very last member, they pull a couple of your cultists in, and you have to actually fight them to the death.
Oh no.
It was heartbreaking. They grabbed my two favorite cultists and plopped them in front of me. I had to murder him. It was awful. I had to kill my own. It was literally the character that I had married that I had to fight and kill.
Oh my god.
Oh.
So that is my heartbreaking story on why I was upset about the marriage thing. And then, yeah, I guess real fast I'll touch on the secret final boss of the game. At the very, very end, once you've defeated the 4 head leaders of the different cults, you destroy the chains that are binding the, quote, one who waits, the god who gave you this power in the beginning. As it's leading up to it, some of the other members, like the other head cultists, kind of talk to you and go, hey, yo, there was a 5th member. It's this guy. He was trying to rebel against us constantly, so we locked him up. You're just going to release him, and he's just going to do the same shit to you that he was doing to us. Turns out, that's exactly the case. The final section of the game, you go through to release the one who waits, and you get the choice. Either you can, just like you were at the very beginning of the game, kneel and be executed to complete the cycle and release him fully, or you can fight the motherfucker, and you get to fight and kill God yourself, which he who kills a god becomes a god, as Elden Ring has taught us, correct?
Close enough.
Yeah, the last boss fight of the game was really, really fun, and has some very fun horror imagery to it. Would highly recommend, Brady, you get a chance to finish the game. I would say go for it.
I fully intend to, so it's just a matter of finding the time for it. But yeah, big fan of games where I get to kill God. And this one I get to kill 5, so that's just fantastic.
That is Cult of the Lamb. I'm gonna give it. I think my personal rating. It was pretty good. I was playing on the Switch. I had a lot of bugs and different issues along the way. But the main gameplay loop itself was so fun. It was really easy to overlook any issues that I came across. I think if you get a chance, pick it up, play it. I'm gonna give it like a 7. I think 7 out of 10.
I agree. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It would be higher if I didn't have so many glitches and bugs that I ran into. The gameplay loop is fantastic. The vibes, as we've mentioned several times, are immaculate. It's just there are some bugs.
The little lamb is so cute, though.
Yeah, the lamb is adorable, and sacrificing people is always fun. So, still a very good game. Still recommend it. It's just a little buggy.
All right, I think we are ready to move on.
So I came up with a little idea for something we can do some podcasts. We have a small theme here with the games that we're going over, with Unsighted in 12 minutes being time loop games, and Saints Row and Cult of the Lamb being cult games. I decided to come up with a couple little questions for you guys and see who can get the most points. So basically, I'll ask the question. You will both give an answer, that way we don't have to worry about buzzing or anything, and you'll get a point if you get it right. You don't get a point if you get it wrong. And I would say go with the answer you think, and don't swap it whenever you hear the other person's answers. We will alternate based on that. And so y'all ready?
Ready.
All right.
Do it.
All right, so for the first one, this game has one playable character that likes to take random people to a cult to be dropped off and never heard from again. Though I'm not sure if the cult is crazier than this Blaine County resident. What is the game?
I'm gonna need a hint.
I'm going to need a hint.
I think I've got something, but I don't know.
The character's name is Trevor.
Oh, okay.
I know it.
I know it.
All right, Brady, you first.
GTA 5.
GTA 5.
All right, yep, that's a point for both of you. Next one. This video camera is indestructible, though it chugs through batteries faster than your heart rate. Capturing Blaine Langerman's attempt at finding his wife post-helicopter crash in the Arizona desert is this sequel horror game.
Oh, see, I thought I knew it. Now I don't. I'm still
Nothing.
gonna walk in.
Okay.
Purely
Walker's
to
locked
block
in?
you, Brady, if that's the case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
All
I
right,
go
Walker.
down. Outlast 2?
Brady.
I got nothing.
All right. Outlast 2 is correct. Walker with the second point.
It's the only camera-based video game I could think of at the time.
All right, third one. This Nintendo game was probably most people's first instance of a Groundhog Day-style time loop in a game, though you probably didn't realize it and were too busy staring at the creepy moon face.
I got it.
Yeah, I know it.
Brady?
Oh, Ocarina of Time. No,
Walker.
Majora's Mask. Sorry.
Majora's
Majora's
Mask.
Mask.
Walker's already ahead, so I'll go ahead and give you the point, Brady. But yes, it is Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
All good. You knew it as soon as you said
I knew it.
My heart fluttered because I'm like, oh, I've got a chance.
All right, number 4. This game has a softer definition of a time loop and rather treats every new playthrough as the start of the loop. It gets kind of awkward when you have to go up to a skeleton you killed once in the last playthrough, but he probably killed you dozens of times with his attacks that only do 1 damage.
Got it.
Can I get a hint? Walker's guessing first this time, so it doesn't matter if I get a hint because he already has it.
Yeah, give him the hint. Give him the hint. It's fine.
Dun 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 dun.
Lock in, Walker. What you got?
It's Undertale. That was your...
That was my hint, yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's Undertale.
Brady?
I don't know it.
Undertale's correct.
I would argue it's not a time loop, but that's fine. Fun stretch.
I said softer definition.
Okay, fair.
Is it Toby?
Yeah, Toby Fox.
Toby Fox is I read a tweet or something about how he had it's a loop, but every loop only certain people remember the actions that you did in the previous one.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
All right. Last question.
Also, fun fact: Toby Fox, the creative Undertale maker of music, is going to be doing a lot of the music for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Really?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
He did the Battle Tower theme, and what was the last one? Sword and Shield.
Okay.
Oh, okay. See, I never played Undertale, so I didn't know.
The Battle Tower theme fucking slaps.
Yeah.
All right. Brady has no chance of winning this one, but we'll still do the last question anyway. So number 5. Helping a court fool with his coffin is a quick way to get access to an assassin cult in this open world with 9 different city-states.
Got it.
I don't got it.
Oof.
Go ahead and hit us with the hint.
The Black Sacrament.
Anything, Brady?
Nope.
Ooh, damn. Maybe Brady didn't play this one.
I haven't played most of these.
This is Skyrim.
Yeah. Elder Scrolls.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, god
Cicero
damn
the
it.
Jester for the Black Hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, it came out 11 years ago.
Okay.
Wow. Well done, Walker. 5 for 5. Brady got 2 though.
Skyrim is the only one of those I played.
Oh, but you knew GTA 5 and Majora's Mask though.
Oh no, I did play Sorry, I forgot GTA 5 was the first one. GTA and Skyrim are the only ones I played out of that.
Oh, have you not
collection.
played Majora's Mask?
Nope.
Oh.
What Zelda games have y'all played? Just out of sheer
Breath of the
curiosity.
Wild.
Okay, you've got Breath of the Wild. Trent?
So I played Majora's Mask. I never beat it. I played it as a kid. I played the original Zelda. I played a lot of Breath of the Wild. I've played, I think, a little bit of Skyward Sword.
Okay.
What's the fucking boat one? Wind Waker.
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker is my favorite one. I played a lot of that. I played Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds.
Okay, so you got a good number of them.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, you've played a couple of ones that I haven't played, like at least fully. Zelda's one of my favorite game franchises, even though I haven't played them all. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask kick ass. Twilight Princess is great. Obviously, Breath of the Wild slaps as well.
I have also played a little bit of A Link to the Past. I forgot that I had, but I have played a little bit of that. But yeah,
Link
Zelda
to the
is
Past. That's the. This is gonna be really dumb if I'm wrong. That is the one from the Super Nintendo, right?
That's the Game Boy Advance, or the Game Boy one.
Oh, are you thinking Link's Awakening?
Ah,
Because Link's Awakening is one of my favorite Zelda games, like, hands down.
I remember the water. There was like a water temple or something.
That's okay. Unfortunately, that does not narrow it down at all.
It might have been. It might have been Link's Awakening.
I played the two linked ones are the ones on the DS, so maybe one of them's a remaster of the original or something. But I know you went between worlds by going into the 3D by going from 3D into the wall 2D for one of them.
Yes, Link, that one's Link Between Worlds, and then
Okay.
Link to the Past is the one I'm thinking of, actually, that came out on the Super Nintendo. That's the one
Okay.
everyone loves.
All right.
Okay, sorry for that diatribe.
All good. We'll occasionally do the mid-podcast game show. If you want, guys, we can start swapping off who does it, or I can just do it every time. It doesn't matter. I just thought of several questions while thinking about these four games. So
I'm fine with switching off, but next podcast I am also answering questions because I need to redeem myself from this one. So I don't care which we do as long as I get to guess again for the next one.
Maybe we can have a guest come on, do the
Maybe.
questions.
Maybe.
That way we can all play. All right, who wants to start with the y'all's individual games?
So these are going to be relatively quickly, just in general, because only one of us played each of these, and it's just something because Cult of the Lamb wasn't enough to warrant a full podcast. But these are going to be relatively quickly. I will say there's a spoiler warning for 12 minutes because most of it is story related. It's not really gameplay wise, so I will say my spoiler warning for 12 minutes here. Minor spoilers for both Unsighted and Saints Row, newly made one in 2022, and major spoilers for 12 minutes.
All right, Trent, do you want to kick us off? You didn't get much of a chance to talk last.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and talk. So 12 minutes is it's a time loop game, hence the trivia. So 12 minutes, it's an adventure game. It's developed by Luis Antonio, published by Annapurna Interactive, who did... we just played the game. What was it? Shit, I can't remember.
Annapurna's done a lot of really good stuff. They were behind, I believe, Gone Home. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because I remember I had it's something I had played.
What Remains of Edith Finch, Florence,
Stray.
Donut County. Did they do Stray? Oh, they did do Stray. That's right.
They did Stray. They also did Neon White, which is another game that came out this year that I think is I'm gonna have to hit up before the end of the year because I just from the sound of what I've heard about it sounds pretty interesting. So it published by Annapurna. It was released last year, and it stars William Dafoe, James McAvoy, and Daisy Ridley as the main cast. There's a couple, one or two side characters that voices, but most of the entirety of the story is voiced by these three, and they carry their performance. It's actually really good. So basic gameplay is you're from a top-down perspective interacting with the world, talking to your wife, William Dafoe's character, and most of it is just different conversation topics, getting certain triggers so that in the next loop you can ask about this, and it's a lot of that. It's a lot of replaying the same thing over and over again to try and figure out the mystery behind the entirety of the game. So you come home from a day at work and your wife has a surprise for you. She's made your favorite dessert and everything. She's setting the mood and everything. Turns out she's pregnant, and you're having a nice night, and then all of a sudden a guy says he's a cop, comes banging on your door, and he comes and he ties you and your wife up, and he's here for your wife for a stopwatch, and saying that your wife is responsible for her father's murder so many years ago. And so whenever your wife doesn't start talking about the stopwatch, the cop comes, kills you in front of the wife to try and get her to talk, and then next thing you know, you wake up, or you don't wake up, but you're standing at the front doorway like you had just entered again 12 minutes before, or about 12 minutes before. So the whole game is about these specific 12 minutes that go by every time, and you're trying to figure out how to break the loop as well as to solve the mystery. So you go through, and eventually you learn that your wife isn't responsible for the murder of your dad. The cop is actually an old friend of your dad's. The cop played by William Dafoe. The cop. Oh no. So the cop was the dad was the mentor of the cop, and he's wanting revenge. Wants a special stopwatch that can be sold for a lot of money. The reason he wants this is because his daughter is sick with cancer. He needs a way to pay for the treatments and stuff like that. So he's using this as a probable cause to get the watch, no matter what it takes. People are delusional whenever things they love are in trouble. So, but you keep going through, learning bit after bit, and over time you're learning more of the story. And it's crazy whenever you get to a certain point in the game and you learn the fact that your wife is actually your half sister from the father that they say that she murdered. You find out that you actually murdered, and you went through so much trauma during it that you suppressed it and don't remember it. And the reason y'all are half siblings is because your mother was the maid to your wife's father, and your father, I guess, and he had an affair with her. And it's just crazy whenever you go through and you're learning this over and over again, and you're having different dialogue with the characters and breaking it down and everything. And it's just a really enjoyable game, going through the loop over and over again, figuring out different ways to suppress the cop so that he doesn't just immediately kill you, finding different ways to get information out of your wife, because if you make her mad enough, she just walks out of the apartment, and then you just wait till the loop ends, pretty much, to restart or walk out the door. And yeah, so it's a really interesting game. And it only takes about maybe an hour, 2 hours to complete, and it's just a really good game.
Wow. There's a lot to that. So it's a big puzzle game, obviously, honestly. The information you're gaining is helping you move forward.
Yeah, it's also a lot of point and click item interaction as well. For instance, you learn you have to interrogate the cop at some point, but in order to do that, you have to somehow stop him from tying up you and your wife. And you can't outpower him no matter what you do. You come at him with a knife, he'll end up turning it on you, killing you. You sneak up behind him with coming out of the closet, and he'll just disarm you. He's well suited to take you down no matter how you do it. You have to get creative with it. So, for instance, there's a faulty light switch in the bedroom that if you knock your wife out to where with sleeping pills to where she's sleeping in the room, then the cop will go into the room, hit the light switch, and because he's wet, because it's raining outside, it will electrocute him long enough for you to go quickly grab the gun and the handcuffs off of him and handcuff him so that you can interrogate him while your wife's passed out because of medication on the bed. And there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't do to people, you just wouldn't do. For instance, you wouldn't drug your wife normally, but the only way to progress is to do some bad acts in order to find the information so that you can have that one good loop where you can finally get out with nothing going wrong.
That's crazy. There's a lot of crazy revelations in there. The wife being a half-sister is kind of scuffed.
There's it's a little loose. The whole forgetting that you murdered your father thing,
right?
Is I can understand trauma suppressing stuff, but it's a little far too, especially whenever you're going through, and it's a major plot point whenever you find out that your wife didn't kill him, but it doesn't click for you instantly that, oh shit, that's because I'm the one who killed him. You have to go through a couple more loops to actually figure out, oh shit, I'm the one who killed him. And it's pretty wild.
Okay. I know Emma played quite a bit of that game. I'm not sure if she fully beat it or not, but just crazy from my understanding.
There's a lot of playing the same loop over and over again because you do something slightly wrong and it messes up the timing. Timing is crucial in it.
All right. Brady, would you like to talk for a little bit about Saints Row?
Yeah, I would love to. Sorry for not talking too much in that last one. I was intentionally kind of zoning out because I do intend to play 12 minutes at some point. So I wasn't super paying attention. But Saints Row. So the Saints Row franchise is a pretty solidly established franchise about gangbangers in urban areas. You build up your gang, you kill a lot of people, you use a lot of guns, and you eventually establish a criminal empire. There were 4 initial entries into the Saints Row games, aptly named Saints Row, Saints Row 2, Saints Row 3, and Saints Row 4, that got
It was Saints Row the Third, sir.
Saints Row the Third. Apologies. And they all got just the wackiest by the end. Slight spoilers for Saints Row 4. You start the game by becoming president of the United States, and that is probably the most normal thing that happens throughout Saints Row 4. Wild. Saints Row 2022 was Deep Silver's attempt to kind of reboot the whole thing and start over from 1 without all the craziness attached to it. So this is a modern day Saints Row 1, essentially, where instead of the gangster stereotypes that existed in the early 2000s and late 1990s, your characters are based on stereotypes of millennials, which is interesting. You start the game as 4 people sharing an apartment together because you don't have money, because partially student loans, partially other debts and crimes.
Stop, you're hitting too close to home.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that, and I should not have made the main character look so much like me and then complain about being in debt. That was not fun. But yeah, the main gameplay is a third-person shooter style, like all the Saints Row games. You go around the city of Santo Ileso, which is pretty much Las Vegas, and also some of the surrounding like desert area. You kill rival gang members. You kill members of a paramilitary organization based around cowboys, and you establish your empire. You acquire buildings and businesses for money, and you go and do side quests in the little districts, and kind of paint the map purple. The main things I'll say about the game are it's a different vibe than the original Saints Row. If you're looking for another Saints Row game, this is only barely it. It's just a very different aesthetic than the original. Still very good, but a different aesthetic. In the original Saints Row game, you do a lot of very violent things, and the light that you are perceived in is like this badass gang leader that killed a bunch of people and rose to the top out of competence. Whereas in the new Saints Row, it's almost played as a joke, all of the gratuitous violence, which it was in the originals, but in this one it just kind of treats your character less seriously than the originals do, which wasn't my cup of tea. The other negative thing I'll say is that this game is huge, much bigger than any of the other Saints Row games. It's a very shallow world. You have like 10 different activities in each district. They're all the same activities, fairly repetitive, and you just go around to 20 different districts and do the same 10 things in each district. So not super deep gameplay wise. One of my favorite things though was the customization of your home base. Your gang takes up residence in this old abandoned church, and as you progress through the game, the church gets renovated and goes from basically a trash heap to this really cool nightclub base area, and you can customize some of the statues and artwork and themes that you have around the base, which is really cool. So yeah, long story short, I give this game probably a 6 out of 10. I think it's a better game than a 5 out of 10. I think it's more good than bad, but it's definitely not on the level of the other Saints Row games, in my opinion.
It's because they don't have the dildo bat, huh?
Oh, gosh. I forgot to mention my main gripe with this game, which is the iconic bat from the original Saints Row games, which is literally just a giant purple dildo that you swing at people, is missing from this game.
The Penetrator.
The Penetrator, which is also kind of a calling card for the kind of the different vibe of the game. The original Saints Row games were very, I've already said gratuitous so much. Like if a 14-year-old teenager was trying to be as edgy and over the top as possible. That's the vibe of the original Saints Row. And the new Saints Row is that same vibe, but if someone from corporate cut out all the parts that they thought would reduce sales. Definitely felt a little bit more managed than the other Saints Rows, for sure.
Well, Saints Row has been a popular enough series with the originals, so maybe this one got enough that maybe we'll get a second one, and maybe they'll improve a little bit, and we'll find a nice medium between the originals and this one.
Truly. I've said a lot of negative things. I did really enjoy this game, and I hope they make more, and I recommend that you play it if you haven't. The dynamics between you and the other characters in your gang, they're not really similar to the old Saints Row games, but it is a really interesting dynamic that I enjoyed. It's much more like a family as opposed to a gang, which is interesting. And it's definitely, I see more of myself in these characters, which is both bad and good for reasons that we've kind of already mentioned. I do recommend you play it. I am a big fan of Deep Silver Volition as a developer. Even their non-Saints Row games like Agents of Mayhem, I've enjoyed very much. So I hope that they succeed and do well.
Well, we got one more game to talk about. Walker, why don't you hit us up with Unsighted?
Yeah, Unsighted. If you guys like Metroidvanias, going fast, and existential dread, this is the perfect game for you. This is a sci-fi action-adventure game, 2D Metroidvania style. You've got this huge, sprawling world that is interconnected through different pathways, where you take control of a character called Alma, who is a automaton, basically just a robot who has gained sentience. She wakes up in a vat of like healing acid, breaks out, and immediately starts getting chased while trying to put together what happened, like how she ended up here. And she comes to find out that the world that she woke up in is fucked. There's been a crazy war with humankind that has blocked off the main crystal that's kind of in the central area that provides a force called anima, which provides the automatons their sentience. So this anima is slowly running out now on every single character that you meet in this game, which puts a real-life ticking timer on all the people you come to interact with. This includes every single shopkeeper, main story characters, your main fairy companion character, and yourself. So, as you are suddenly in this race against the clock, you have to go and, very Zelda-like, go and collect a bunch of these different pieces of basically like a master sword, so you can finally enter into the main central area and open this crystal up and kind of save the world. This game is honestly incredible. The world itself is built in such a way that your different upgrades, it's very Tunic-like in some regards, where it has this big expansive world that has secrets and shortcuts that, if you know are there, take advantage of that knowledge and run through the game. One example of this, something you don't find out until near the end of the game, one of the first upgrades you get allows your character to jump. Very minor, it acts in most cases as a platforming ability, but also kind of as your dodge roll mechanic. When you have this little hop, you get like a couple frames of invincibility that you can use to get out of the way of damage. If you use this up against certain walls that are pressed close to each other, you have a wall jump ability. The game does not tell you this until near the end of the game, and if you take advantage of that, you can cut through large swaths of the game without even having that knowledge beforehand. It's cool. There's a lot of fun story elements here. Gameplay wise, it's your pretty standard dodge roll hack and slash, limited healing similar to your Souls likes, but there's a large emphasis on speed and your actual choices, because everything that you do, if you take the time to go and check out, this little room over here, if you're not quick about it, the old lady who's selling you like really good bonus cogs and stuff in town, she'll just go what the game is called Unsighted, which basically just means the robots lose their sentience and become basically a standard enemy like anywhere else in the game. So these characters will actually like live and die based on the decisions that you make as you play. I would genuinely highly recommend this game to anyone who has even a passing interest in Metroidvanias and or speedrunning, because this kind of checks all those boxes. There's a ton of really fun movement options. There's a ton of really cool like different game modes. If you want to do like the main story, you can, but there's also like boss rush and something called a dungeon raid, which you play through the main dungeons of the game as quick as you can. And there's also options for co-op, which is really cool. I didn't get a chance to mess around with that at all, but I think just even the fact that it's there is fantastic. And then there's a ton of, personal customization touches too. You can build out whatever loadout you like, whether that be, your swords, if you want to dual wield swords, if you want to have a pistol in one hand, a grenade launcher in the other, you can do that. If you want a giant axe and a shuriken, you can do that. It's super, super fun, and gives you, like I said, a lot of different options and ways to tackle this challenge, which is get to the end of the game with as many or as few people remaining as you can. I think the story is fantastic. I'm not going to go too much into that because I don't want to act on too much spoilers, but genuinely, guys, give this a check out. I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10, I think.
I wanted to play this game, but by the time I was going to be able to, it was going to be leaving Game Pass in like 3 or 4 days, and so I was not able to get it. I told myself I'm not going to be able to play it in that time, so.
Oh, but that's the whole point. You had to speedrun it.
Well, I didn't know it was a speedrun thing, if in that regard, so. Did you get to finish it?
I did. It was incredible. I only did one playthrough of the game. It very much encourages you to play through again once you have more knowledge, because you could be able to knock out the different dungeons a lot quicker. If you know where certain weapons are, you can just go to them really quickly. And the different weapons you get include stuff like if any of you played Twilight Princess, or I know we just talked about Legends of Zelda games and how y'all haven't played it, there's a cool item called like the spinner top that you can get on top of. It acts as a really cool speed boost, but it also allows you to destroy rubble and stuff that's in your way. And certain grenade launchers you can get, like the ice grenade launcher, let you create paths on top of water that you couldn't normally cross. Stuff like that just really like opens up and expands as you go.
Interesting. Yeah, I will have to give that one a try. Hopefully it comes back to Game Pass soon.
I don't know that I can play that game. That sounds like a lot of anxiety to me.
Luckily, on the anxiety front, they do present you the option right at the beginning of the game if you don't want to worry about the timers, if you want to take that element out, if it's just not something you want to think about, they allow you just to check that box and you can play through the entire game normally without any of the timers. One thing I didn't mention, kind of in relation to that, is some of the key items that you can find through the game is called anima dust, which is basically, it's dust that will buy every single character one more in-game day. So, and you can give that to any character you want. So if you want that old lady selling you cogs to live a little bit longer, you can give her that dust and she'll last longer. Same goes for yourself or for like any other character in the game. And some characters will actually, I think every single character, if you give them a certain amount of said anima dust, they will give you like secret bonus items. For example, there's this one merchant who you don't meet until later on. If you give him a whole bunch of anima dust, he will give you basically like an ultimate sword that does shock, fire, and ice damage all at once, which is super overpowered in this game.
Nice.
Well, there you go, Brady. Now you can play it in baby mode.
Now I can play it.
It's not a baby mode, it's just a no stress mode.
I'm a type of gamer that likes to play most games on easy because I enjoy the story and the environment more than the difficult gameplay. So I am not offended at all by the concept of baby mode.
Yeah, I genuinely, if y'all get a chance, if it comes back to Game Pass, I'll ping y'all and let you know. But it was super fun. It didn't take too long to complete the main story on it. And I think I hit something like 96% completion blind on my first playthrough. And I only lost, I think, 3 or 4 of the total of like, I think there's something like 24 or 26 different characters that you meet throughout the game. So I only lost like a handful of them, which still hurt. Don't get me wrong, it was heartbreaking. But give it a go, guys.
Well, fuck. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Relatively shorter one after the gauntlet that was the last one, so we wanted to purposely do that. Any other final thoughts, you guys?
Play Cult of the Lamb. It's a
Yeah,
fun
Cult of
game.
Lamb is super fun. Check it out, y'all.
All right, well then, with that, let's just go on to next time. Next time, we're going to be playing Deathloop, as well as Slime Rancher 2.
Let's go.
We'll probably talk a little bit about Disney Dreamlight Valley as well. Just to sprinkle it in there, because I've been watching Walker and his partner play this one, and even I want to get into the fucking Stardew Valley-esque of this game.
I've been trying to get, so a little bit of background, I've been trying to get Trent to play Stardew Valley for years now, and he refuses to. So I'm hoping a little bit of the Dreamlight Valley magic will help a bit.
And I'm pretty sure that's all the like main releases that we want to cover next, right? Because Pokemon comes next month.
Pokemon's coming soon. I'm excited for that.
When does Ragnarok come?
I think it's also
November.
November, yeah.
Okay, so Ragnarok we'll probably cover in December with Pokemon.
I have not played the original God of War, so I haven't played any of the God of War games, period.
We could play it together over at your place, possibly.
Gotcha.
But anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you all for joining us. I almost did my Twitch sign-off, but no, this isn't Twitch. This is the Joystick Frequency. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next wavelength.
That was fun. Bye, y'all.
Bye.